Sometimes, people colloquially refer to cuttlefish and squid as wujie, black crows. And the giant squid is one of the most mysterious representatives of the deep sea. Its massive body and elusive presence have sparked an endless desire for exploration among countless scientists. In fact, at depths of over 1,000 meters, there is also a fellow called wujie, and it is an even more preposterous existence. We all know that desert regions on land are barren lands where most life cannot survive. However, in the deep sea, there is also a place as desolate as a desert. It is a wasteland in the ocean, the source of nightmares for all animals. Yet, in such a harsh environment, there lives a creature with an extremely bizarre appearance. It has huge eyes, sometimes glowing red and sometimes glowing blue. Furthermore, terrifying bald spikes grow upon its body. Most spine-chilling of all it possesses, a terrifying name, the Vampire Squid. Legend says it is a vampire from hell, a demon from the abyss. Furthermore, evidence suggests their history is even older than the dinosaurs, and their appearance has remained nearly unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. Have you ever learned about this monster from the deep sea? In this episode, we will unveil the mysterious veil hidden within them. To understand these deep sea creatures, we must first start with the journey of their discovery. In 1872, Britain launched an exploration plan. At that time, the Royal Society of London converted a warship, named the HMS Challenger, into a research vessel and began a comprehensive exploration of the ocean, which caused quite a stir in the Western scientific community at the time. The Germans, seeing this, were not to be outdone. So in 1897, during a meeting of the Society of German Natural Scientists and Physicians, zoologist Carl Jun stated, "We must also conduct a true ocean exploration, and it must be more challenging than the British. We must explore the deep sea." Early in the scientific community, there was a theory called the Azoic theory. It was a scientific hypothesis proposed by naturalist Edward Forbes in 1843. The theory stated that the abundance and variety of marine life would decrease as depth increased. Forbes inferred through his own measurements that below a depth of 550 meters, marine life would no longer exist. Carl and a group of German scientists stated they could use this opportunity to verify the truth of the Azoic theory. The government soon approved the project. The following year, the German deep sea expedition set sail on the steamship SS Valdivia on August 1st to begin their voyage. To facilitate the analysis and preservation of samples, the ship was equipped with storage tanks specifically designed for deep sea organisms. They departed from Hamburg, Germany, passed through Edinburgh, and after rounding the southern tip of Africa, the expedition spent a great deal of time studying the depths of the Indian Ocean. And it was during this time that scientists discovered this monster from the deep sea. Its bizarre appearance deeply shocked everyone on board, particularly its tentacles, which were all connected by skin, closely resembling the cloak of the legendary vampire. Thus, Carl named it Vampyroteuthis infernalis, which means vampire squid from hell. It must be said that this name added a lot of mysterious atmosphere to them. At this time, Carl believed it was a species of octopus, except that they lived in the deep sea. The exploration by Carl and others opened the door to understanding this mysterious creature. It wasn't until humans invented deep-sea submersibles that research could progress further. The Monterey Bay Aquarium is a non-profit public aquarium located in Monterey, California. It is also the largest aquarium in the United States. In the last 25 years, the aquarium's research team has used ROVs, remotely operated vehicles, to observe nearly 200 individual vampire squids in their natural ocean habitat. Through the lens of the ROVs, we can see that, besides having cloak-like tentacles, this fellow has two very special things on its body. These two things grow on their mantle, looking very much like small ears. However, these things have nothing to do with ears. In fact, those are their fins. When swimming, they primarily achieve propulsion by flapping these two small fins. We talked about cuttlefish before, and we all know that cuttlefish possess color-changing camouflage skills that leave other animals in total awe. In fact, most cephalopods have similar pigment cells that can achieve seamless, instantaneous color changes. For example, octopuses and squids are both masters of color camouflage. However, as a member of the cephalopods, the vampire squids, pigment cells seem somewhat underdeveloped because they cannot change their skin color at will, like their cephalopod relatives living in shallow waters. Fortunately, this fellow has always lived in the deep sea. In a dark environment, the ability to change color doesn't seem to be that important for them. Although it's a pity they can't change color, they have learned another skill more suitable for the deep sea instead. That is bioluminescence. The vampire squid is nearly covered in photophores. These photophores appear as small white discs, densely distributed at the tips of the arms and the bases of the two fins. Using these photophores, the vampire squid can produce confusing flashes of light. They can adjust the duration of the light, from fractions of a second to several minutes as needed by the environment. This is because the size and intensity of their photophores are adjustable. There are two large white areas on top of their heads that were initially thought to be photophores as well. However, final research showed that those are photoreceptors. Dr. Bruce Robinson from the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute is an expert in studying vampire squids. The doctor said that in terms of appearance, the individual structure of the vampire squid is very similar to an octopus. This is also why Carl, when he first discovered them, mistakenly thought it was also a type of octopus. However, as research deepened later on, people gradually discovered. As it turns out, they are quite different. First, they have two long, thin filaments on their bodies. While floating in the water, they will extend one of them out of their body, a feature that octopuses do not possess. The doctor explained that this fellow is actually another species from the same lineage before octopuses and squids diverged. Scientists once found a 200-million-year-old fossil of the vampire squid. After studying it, they were surprised to find that the appearance of today's vampire squid hasn't changed much even after hundreds of millions of years. Based on their ancient appearance, people also call them living fossils of cephalopods. Ultimately, scientists distinguished them from octopuses and established an independent order, which is the order Vampyroteuthis. Today's vampire squid is also the only species in this order to have survived the Cretaceous mass extinction. Why don't they, like other animals, strive to evolve into various forms, but instead choose to maintain their original appearance? Perhaps this is related to where they live. Many cephalopods move towards shallower waters during the long process of evolution. However, the ancestors of the vampire squid chose the opposite direction. They pushed desperately into the deep sea. If heading into the deep sea wasn't enough, they even chose the most difficult place for animals to survive. At a depth of about 600 to 1,200 meters in the deep sea, such a region sometimes appears. It is called the Oxygen Minimum Zone, abbreviated as OMZ. It is formed by the combined action of ocean currents and other factors, becoming the place with the lowest oxygen saturation in all seawater. Because the oxygen content is so low, most complex animals cannot perform aerobic metabolism here. To put it simply, this is a barren wasteland where life dares not tread. But what is considered a miracle is that this vampire squid can settle down stably in such a harsh environment. They are the only cephalopods that can spend their entire life cycle in a region where oxygen saturation is below 3%. They are also the most extreme example among all cephalopods discovered today. The reason they can perfectly adapt to this low oxygen environment is mainly due to a special hemocyanin in their blood. Its efficiency in binding and transporting oxygen is 5 times that of other animals. Additionally, they have gills with a very large surface area to filter more seawater. Furthermore, their basal metabolic rate is incredibly low. One could say these low oxygen zones are tailor-made for them. Here, they have almost no natural enemies and face no threats from any large predators. This is the primary reason why they have no need to constantly evolve. It is said that during the Jurassic period, their ancestors moved to the deep sea to escape predation by plesiosaurs, and their circular mantle structure also evolved to counter the narrow-headed plesiosaurs. Later, after the Cretaceous mass extinction, many species, including plesiosaurs, disappeared. But they stayed in the deep sea. Although there's no need to fight off predators here, it doesn't mean they don't have any defensive capabilities. In fact, they have their own unique skills. When threatened, the vampire squid will curl its arms outward to wrap around its body. After turning its arms inside out, all its thorny protrusions will be exposed to intimidate the opponent. And truthfully, it does look quite terrifying. But if showing the spikes doesn't work and the opponent remains aggressive, they will use their ultimate move. First, it will eject clouds of thick, bioluminescent fluid from its arm tips. This mucus contains countless blue glowing orbs. They hit the enemy like projectiles. The light emitted by these projectiles can last up to 10 minutes. The vampire squid will take advantage of the opponent's confusion to escape. However, they won't use this move lightly, unless it's a critical moment. The reason is that the metabolic cost of the mucus is very high, and it is not easy to regenerate. Fortunately, in this oxygen minimum zone, few animals can survive, so there are very few opportunities to actually use these defensive measures. However, everyone might be more concerned about how they fill their stomachs in such a desolate place. It's true that the vast majority of organisms cannot survive here, but some gelatinous zooplankton, pteropods, and isopods are able to survive. However, their numbers are pitifully small. For over 100 years, people didn't really know what they ate. Until recently, when they were first brought to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, did people finally uncover the truth. Laboratory staff said that when they dropped food onto the animal, soon after, it began to slowly pull the filament covered in food and bring it toward its body. As it turns out, these filaments have many tiny, stiff hairs on them. They can trap food particles. Once the filament captures food, it is retracted and brushed onto the tentacles. The tentacles then use mucus to transfer the food into the mouth. Now scientists finally understand why they always extend a thin filament in the sea. It's actually to collect food. And the most abundant food available in this low oxygen zone is the marine snow drifting down from the surface. Marine snow consists of debris falling from the shallow zones. They are mainly composed of dead plankton, fecal pellets, and fragments of decaying carcasses. As it turns out, this fellow isn't some blood-sucking monster at all. They are actually catchers of marine snow, experts at feeding on detritus. In 2014, the Monterey Bay Aquarium first showed people this vampire from the deep sea. This was also the first place in the world to display this species to the public. Why do people always like to study these animals hidden in the deep sea? Besides satisfying curiosity, scientists are actually more concerned about the impact of human activities on them. Although they seem very far away from us, Dr. Robertson believes that human activities may threaten the survival of these deep-sea animals. For example, frequent operations by large pelagic trawlers will cause a massive reduction in surface species. This not only prevents many whales and turtles from obtaining enough food, but it may also affect the abundance of marine snow. In addition, factors such as ocean warming, reduced oxygen, industrialization, and dozens of other deep-sea changes may also bring them harm. We have a responsibility to do our best to learn more about these amazing animals and protect them from the threats posed by human activities. After all, the entire ocean is also one of the most important food sources for mankind.